Hello everyone, I am Erika of beadingschool.com and you are watching Coffee Time with Erika. Today we are going to explore dream destinations, but most importantly, since we are getting inspired by the underwater world and so many of you have accepted my invitation to dive deep beyond our fears and explore maybe a bit surprising color combinations and shapes together. I would also like to share with you my own story of how I started to explore the actual underwater world. So, lovely ladies, before we would start, please let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me well. You should be able to watch this video live from the Beading School YouTube channel and also from the Beading School Facebook page. Hopefully, you can hear me, see me, and as you can see, Zuzi and me are indeed diving deep into the Coral Garden theme even during our meetings. So, hello everyone, and hopefully you can see me and hear me. Loretta, thank you so much for letting me know. Also, Kim, Miriam is here. Also, Robin, Anita, Jessica, Corinne, Marlo, thank you. You're so kind, Marlo. Sharon is here. Judith, Barbara, Vicky, Namrata, and ladies, we had such a good chat already before the broadcast would have started today that I nearly forgot myself there. Thank you so much for the good mood, even before we would go and meet online. So the Coral Garden theme is fully on. Zuzi and I are diving deep, as you can see, and enjoying the refreshing waters, at least, with our funny companions. And we are getting to know the creatures that are waiting for us. As I said, the Coral Garden Beading School Academy theme is an invitation to dive deep despite the fear and beyond the unknown, to find the beauty of the colorful world that we couldn't even have imagined without taking that first scary step. To discover the beauty, the peace, even, and the shades and shapes waiting for us. We need to dare. And as you might have learned over these past years, beyond the playtime with actual beads with different shapes and color combinations, during every Beading School Academy theme, there is also a personal story, thoughts, my personal thoughts and feelings that I am weaving into the theme box and the collection when I am preparing it for you. Today, I would like to tell you about my actual journey when I started to discover the underwater world, and a little bit also about how it has influenced my work as a beadwork designer. Because our creations are never for 100% confined to the frame of our bead mats or beading rooms. They start already way before we would sit down to bead, even before we would select the material, and they reach way beyond the time and the space when we are actually beading, because creating it also, it comes from our hearts, from our minds, from our souls, and also the pieces we created, they still keep resonating with us afterwards. And while we are getting comfortable with exploration, with making mistakes and starting again and again, a beaded jewel instead of a simple, continuous, uninterrupted progress. The same, it also happens in our everyday lives. And as we are embracing that creating something, it requires learning something. It requires stepping outside of our comfort zone, and then it doesn't go just better and better, but there are hiccups. We need to learn, we need to stop, we need to start anew. When we are learning that on our bead mat, we can take that precious knowledge also to our everyday lives. But besides the beginnings of those underwater adventures, I will also tell you about a necklace that I created after starting to explore the underwater world, and that was 12 years ago, more or less. And it wouldn't have been possible without taking not even one, but several of those scary steps into unexplored territory. And I will also like to share with you destinations with that our creative team is dreaming about nowadays on their bead mats and beyond. But there is also something else. First, I would like to share with you something incredibly beautiful, also connected to the Coral Garden theme. One of our Beading School Academy students, Angelina, was also very much inspired by the theme, by the ongoing theme. And we asked her to create a gift tutorial for everyone who is a Beading School Academy student exploring the Coral Garden theme with us. So, lovely ladies, if you follow the link that I am showing on the screen and that I have just posted also in the comments, then it will take you to Angelina's beautiful tutorial, the Physalis. It is made fully from the Coral Garden theme box, and as you can see, it uses the nuggets, the raindrops, and I really, really like how Angelina created this flowy part from the milky twist beads and the teacup beads under the main part. And lovely ladies, if you are a Beading School Academy student at the moment, then the tutorial for the Physalis earrings is a gift for you. All you need to do is to log into your account after visiting beadingschool.com to make sure that the system recognizes you and reduces the price of the tutorial to zero. If you are not yet a Beading School Academy or not currently a Beading School Academy student, then you can still change that. You can still sign up and get one of our Coral Garden theme boxes. Or you can also buy the tutorial for a small fee in the Beading School bead shop. And Zuzi is with us here today, and she says, "This is such a cute, inspiring design, my most favorite one from Angelina." And indeed, it's so playful. I really, really like it. So, Ariana says, "That's an interesting creature. Thank you, Angelina." Kata is also here. Sherry says, "Gorgeous, Angelina. Thank you." Ginny also finds them gorgeous. Lutka says, "Wonderful." And Jessica says, "Love your design, Angelina. Thank you so much." And Iveta finds it very interesting. I do not see Angelina at the moment here between the comments, But please, ladies, make sure to tag her when you bead this earring. Show it in the Beading School Club. I can't wait to see all your variations. Kim says that those earrings would look great with the Lady of the Sea. And what a good idea, dear Kim. So, lovely ladies, I invited you to dare to take that scary step, to start exploring beyond the familiar and to trust that a beautiful world is waiting for you. But to show you that I am living, following that I'm doing my best to lead my life while following what I am talking about, I would like to tell you about my humble beginnings as a diver. While during the past years, I gathered the experience to become a confident diver, and by now I am a proud advanced adventurer, and I can dive with the current, I can dive during the nighttime, I can dive around, not into, but at least around shipwrecks. It wasn't always easy, not at all. At first, it was scary, it was intimidating. I was even crying, shouting, and I have to confess that even swearing sometimes. But eventually, I stopped and I took the step. The story of me being scared of water has begun way before I would have set foot on the island where I first learned diving, or at least started to learn diving. About 20 years ago, there was a very small accident, but it had a deep impact. I was having fun and enjoying whitewater rafting as part of my birthday present. The first attempt, while boating down, rowing down through the Cascades, went really well. I had so much fun. But when we tried it again and our instructor said like, okay, you guys are so good, let's do a few tricks, let's try this, let's try that, it didn't go as intended, and right after the first waterfall we fall over. No worries, there was a rescue plan. It was expected to happen at one point. So the plan was that if it happens, if we turn over, then we need to stay calm. They told us to lay on our backs and to try to reach the bank of the canal as soon as possible. They promised that there will be people always walking along the canal, how our boat is going down, so they help us out. And if it doesn't work, then we just need to wait and go down through the rapids and hopefully in the end splash into the calm water at the end with a smile or a fake smile on our faces, hopefully with a good enough photo as our new profile picture on social media. I was confident when they explained everything. It sounded that it's going to be okay. Thanks to my sister, I'm a good enough, not a great, but a good enough swimmer. So I trusted it that even if it happens, I will manage. But I didn't expect the current to be so strong. I didn't expect it that in between the cascades, I will not have proper time to stick out my head and to take a proper breath. Because every time I went down a cascade, I swallowed some water, I started to cough, so when I came out, then it was just coughing and not really enjoying proper airflow anymore. I also expected that, as they promised, the rescue crew will be there, so they will help us out of the canal. It had like very steep, it was a fake canal, so it had very steep edges. It is actually where the Slovak national team of wild water rafting is training, so it was not like very easy to get out. However, the rescue crew, they took a walk. They did not notice that we fall into the water, and eventually we had to climb out somehow on our own. Everyone was okay, no one was seriously hurt, but in the water we were cold. It seemed, even if it was not a terribly long time, but it seemed to be long, and we were kind of in shock, all of us. And when they asked us afterwards, do you want to go one more time, two more times? Then all of us were shaking our heads. So after this unpleasant experience, and also several childhood memories when we would be like, I would be playing in the water accidentally, my head would get underwater, my mom would totally freak out, she couldn't swim. She was acting as if I had a near death experience immediately. So the fear of water was already there from learning from those reactions of my mom when I was a kid, that if my head gets underwater, it's super scary. And despite being a good enough swimmer, as I said, and despite enjoying swimming and playing in the water up until that moment, something got triggered by that fall into the water. Something got triggered in me when I was having trouble, when no one helped me. So scuba diving and going underwater did not sound as the next logical step. Still, something was totally pulling me towards it, and I went for it. One day I decided, several years later, that I have to try it. As you might guess, it did not go well. I was starting to learn scuba diving actually together with Andrea, who is my main partner in crime at Beadingschool, and together with Timea, who is from time to time teaching English in our team. So the three of us went on an adventure, and afterwards we parted, and I stayed for my first ever solo travel. And the last leg of our journey together took us to the tropical, super friendly island, Fisherman's Island on Mabul, next to Borneo, where we could swim between huge, peaceful green turtles. We could admire lionfishes, happy little Nemos, and even a long sunk fishing boat housing entire families of marine creatures. So, together with professional, well trained, and enthusiastic teachers who did their best to make me comfortable in the water again, I felt I am ready to start to learn. And when you are learning to dive, and hands up, ladies, that who is a diver here or who has ever tried diving? So when you are learning to dive, there are several tasks that you need to accomplish. There's first theoretical exam, and then there are some very practical things that you need to accomplish. And one of them is that you have to remove the mask that you have on, that is protecting your eyes from the salty water. You have to remove it. You have to stay calm underwater, breathe freely. You still have your regulator for about 1 minute. Then somehow put back the mask, remove your hair. Bald guys have it easier, or guys in general with short hair have it easier, or everyone with short hair have it easier. I do not have it easy, but that's the task. You have to put it back, you have to clean the mask, and then continue as if nothing has happened. However, that again triggered the trauma. It is a scary task for everyone, but with my history, it didn't go well. I was supposed to take deep and calm breaths through the regulator while my face was uncovered. Then after a minute, I was supposed to put back the mask. First, it always went well for a few seconds, and then I would have panicked and I would ask for, like, let's abort the mission. I tried again and again, but I could not move through that fear and that panic. The team with whom I was learning, they progressed. I was left behind by the end of the day. I felt like a failure. I started to blame myself that I got scared by something that for the others it was not that much of a big task. I even got sick the next day, maybe because from all the nerves. My teachers were amazing, my classmates were amazing, everyone showed empathy, but it didn't help. My teacher also told me how she was also scared at the beginning, but along the lines, I stopped believing that I can do it. And the mantra that don't panic because water doesn't hurt, it's panic that hurts you. It just didn't seem to stick. My body did not want to believe it, that I can go through this safely, even if mentally I understood. I got the explanation, but my body was all the time reacting. However, somehow, despite all the hiccups and not getting the certificate that time that I wanted to get, something kept calling me towards the underwater world. I did not give up. A year later, I was standing on the shaky edge of that traditional fishing boat that you see on the picture in Cambodia, on another tiny island, in full diving gear. Again, it was not easy to jump into the water. Simon, my teacher, somewhat grinned and told me that it would have been nice if I told him in advance, before standing on the edge of the boat, that I have a trauma. But he kept holding my hand, he kept reassuring me that it will all be all right in the end. And eventually, I jumped. And it turned out that he and everyone else were all right. I sank briefly when I jumped into the water from the boat, but in no time my head was above the surface again. Together with Simon, we slowly descended and the exploration could begin. Instead of rushing, he encouraged me to take everything slow. We did 2-3 dives a day. I stayed there for a week, allowing myself a longer time than usual to work through my fears. At first, we didn't even focus on accomplishing the tasks correctly, the tasks, but he just wanted me to feel that I enjoy being in the water. He wanted me to show how it can be playful. We turned upside down, and let me show you another picture. So we turned all around, we turned upside down, we had fun with the bubbles. When I swallowed water and I started to cough underwater, then he held my regulator in place and he made sure that I don't spit it out and lose my source of air, so I felt safe. His presence and the attention were healing the wound of not being able to rely on the rescue team from back then with the wild water rafting. Then we slowly eased into the tasks and we kept repeating them. And I took my mask off eventually. And I did it again and again and again. I kneeled in the sand when I sank to the bottom. I learned how to remove my tank. I learned to remove my full gear underwater and assemble it again while kneeling in the sand. On one of the last days, I even learned how to help another diver who would have an accident, who would be in distress underwater. And we calmly rose together to the surface after I handed that diver who was in this imaginary accident my second air source. Later, I kept returning and I kept discovering the beauties of the underwater worlds. When you take a picture underwater, then usually it's all blue and you don't actually see the colors that you see on professional pictures as sunlight is disappearing when you decrease. However, what I'm showing you on the picture now, that was one of the most beautiful dives that I have ever had. It was in Mexico and we swam through a channel filled with fishes, and I felt there that this is just so incredibly beautiful, and I was so grateful for taking that step. In the meantime, I'm getting some comments from you, and I see Martika saying, I love swimming in the ocean, but once I got overturned 3 times under the big waves and I got really scared. My hair was full of sand and I turned around and touched the bottom. And Martika, indeed, that was for sure super scary. I'm curious if you ever went back, if you still can enjoy the ocean after such a scary experience. And Lindsay says, I have great empathy for you as I am not able to go underwater. I nearly drowned at age 14 as I got caught in the undercurrent of our local beach. Luckily, my best friend pulled me out by my hair. Lindsay, thank you so much for your empathy, and the same goes out to you. It is so scary. And yeah, I'm really happy that your friend was there next to you. What? Lindsay tried scuba diving? Even if not successfully with the full adventure, but she tried it, and that is very brave. So after visiting Borneo and Cambodia, I actually started to create my traveler collection. I told you that those adventures, that they have an impact on us way beyond our bead mats. And the traveler pendants and bead earrings and brooches and bracelets, they always feature coins that bring back the memories that I have from those beautiful places. And when I look at one of those rubles, then I don't only see the shapes and the colors, but I also remember I also remember all those happenings, including the times when I was learning to dive. And I was sorry, ladies, just a beady note. But if you would like to create your own travelers, then I am also just posting now again the link so you can learn the basics of bead embroidery and create your own memories, maybe from the underwater world or maybe from another adventure. And Miriam is asking, when did you create Estefan? So Estefan is my little beaded turtle. And in the past, when I released the tutorial for him, then we were actually collecting even a donation together with you ladies. And that was eventually sent to Mabul, where I started to learn diving, because the diving school, they also operate turtle sanctuary, rescuing turtle eggs and making sure that the hatchlings are safe. And I'm really, really grateful for everyone who contributed back then. So I would also like to, that was about my big fear that I needed to overcome. And thanks to daring to go back and trying again and again, I I got the gift of exploring this world that is normally not open, would not be open to me. And I really treasure it that I can bring those impressions and everything that I saw to you through the jewels that we are creating nowadays together. And Chantal is also a diver, and she says, the most valuable lesson I learned during diving was admitted it is okay to acknowledge to yourself and to your body that when you are not feeling well and that you need time to recenter yourself. I did that, and after a couple of minutes, I was able to continue the dive. And Chantal, that is such an important lesson. And it can't be a goal of us to eliminate fear from our lives or from our beading mats, because we can't fully control emotions. We can just control how we react when an emotion, when we feel something. And that's the best that you could do, that acknowledge that it's happening, ask for help, and then indeed we are often able to continue. And lovely ladies, after fighting my fears and after visiting the island of Borneo and later Cambodia, I I was deeply impacted by all the beautiful places from all around the world on my beadwork and beyond. And after creating those first traveler jewels, I also worked on a bigger piece that I would like to tell a little bit about today. And it feels like the Borneo necklace. This is the Borneo necklace, and I beaded it for the Battle of the Beadsmiths in 2014, I believe. So it feels like a fighter's necklace, and it brings back memories connected to that trip. I love remembering how we were traveling with the ladies together. I love remembering the part of the trip that I took on my own, and also the part when we were learning to dive. So Each and every one of us has a dream destination, and we chatted a bit about our dream destinations with the ladies here before we would start the broadcast. And each of those dream destinations, besides relaxing and besides recharging, it also always teaches us something. And sometimes those dream destinations, they have a pull, despite also a kind of a fear of the unknown. And I am I would like to show you a bit also about how I created this necklace and tell you about the symbolism. So besides being a fighter's necklace, it also shows you some of the characteristics of the island, the beautiful island of Borneo. And I always want to remember how it was so much worth it to step out of our comfort zones and start exploring it. So the necklace with the vibrant orange color, it's showing you the hot equatorial sun. I also wanted to include leaf shapes, flowers, to remember the jungles of Borneo. The turquoise cup chain on the edge, I selected it because of the turquoise coastline of the whole island. There is also a very famous flower, the Rafflesia flower, that you can find hidden in the jungle, that is symbolically included thanks to the pink color. And while I also learned that during diving, that sharks are actually not that scary if we know how to approach them. They are also there in this necklace, thanks to the triangular shapes of the checkmate triangles on the edge of the necklace. I looked up for you some pictures from behind the scenes. This was a big piece. There are the recordings for the traveler pieces that you can follow on YouTube. But if you would like to take the next step, and if you would like to go bigger and create something, create a statement piece based on the Traveler series, then you might find these also helpful. So what I did when I was creating the Borneo necklace is that I went through my whole stash and I pulled out literally everything that came to my mind that I could include it. It either fit the color scheme, it either fit the lines, the shapes that I was aiming for, but mostly I just took many pieces in my hands and put them aside into a big pile to be there for me as this was shaping up. The Borneo necklace was a huge step outside of my comfort zone, also because of a technical reason. This was my first bigger bead embroidered piece that was asymmetrical. As you can see from the smaller travelers, I always stick to concentrical circles. I always created perfectly symmetrical shapes. And this was the first time when I just let it flow and when I was trying to create a harmony despite leaving the simple symmetry behind. First, I started to stitch down the middle of the necklace. I was 100% sure that I want to include these two big stones, and I knew that I want to add the coin, I want to add the pink stone. So that's where I started. But I still kept the other pieces unglued to the foundation. And I would also like to share with you some of my best practices now, how I was creating that bigger piece. So when I was pulling out those material, those cabochons, those components from my stash, then I went very, very generous. I did not want to limit my creative spirit. So I collected way more into that pile than I knew that I will be needing, but I wanted to have the freedom. You can always eliminate, you can always play around, and it feels so much better to play when there is abundance. So when you are aiming for a bigger piece, then I strongly encourage you to do that. Be generous with what you have on hand. And as you can see, I was taking plenty of pictures when I was beading the Borneo necklace. I already took pictures from the very beginning when not even everything would have been glued or stitched down. I came up with an idea of roughly how I want to place my main components, then I took a picture, then I moved them around and I took another picture. And that was very helpful because, of course, on one hand, after when I worked with the piece, I had to remove everything so I wouldn't have been able to remember not the good ideas, not the bad ideas, not any possibilities. So this was kind of like I wanted to make sure that I will remember what I wanted to do, but also to compare different possibilities. So my second advice is to do exactly that, to take pictures when you have an idea. You can put the whole piece aside and get back to it later if it feels good, but keep a photo diary of your ideas. My third best practice is that do not attach yet everything. Do not attach everything at the beginning. You might want to make changes later. Give yourself the freedom. Keep the freedom as long as possible. And even if it feels like I'm 100% sure, postpone making the final decisions. I made plenty of those changes along the journey when I was beading the Borneo necklace. I even turned the drop around, the astral pink drop that you can see at the bottom. First, I wanted to place it the other way with the tip towards the bottom, but then I changed it and eventually I ended up with it turning up to the top. And in the meantime, Molly says traveling gives so much inspiration. And Miriam likes the idea to take pictures of the. Miriam likes the tip to take pictures of the ideas. And Sarah says, I do the same, taking pictures to compare when I do bigger pieces. So, ladies, I am also very curious. Do you have any tips, tricks, best practices when you are creating a piece on your own? It does not need to be bead embroidery, by the way. I could also completely imagine the same jewel, not the same, but working in the same mood while working without a fabric, without foundation, and going with bead weaving instead of embroidery. So even if you don't do embroidery, you might have some ideas to share with your fellow beaders when it comes to creating pieces based on a mood, pieces based on a feeling, a place, or when you are going big. So, do you have any tips and tricks to share about when you are exploring your own ideas instead of strictly following a tutorial? And since destinations, as Molly, since traveling gives us so much inspiration, since since places open up our eyes and open up our souls in unimaginable ways, then they do have an impact also on our beading. And for today, I have also invited my dear colleagues to do exactly the same. Each of us has, and to start dreaming about the next destination that pulls them creatively, that pulls them somewhere, and they feel that they want to learn about it. And we don't, with the, sorry, in the meantime, we are getting started to get your tips and tricks regarding creating your own pieces. So Laura says, I try to do things in small pieces so I can add or take away. And I think, Laura, that's a wonderful idea. Sometimes I also do assembly. I love in bead weaving that we can create motifs and then join them in different ways, but also in embroidery that we can sometimes bead on the same foundation, or we can start on different pieces and join the pieces later. So indeed, building up from smaller building blocks is a wonderful idea. And Miriam says, I keep the beaded pieces, even if they are ugly, until I am done with the piece. And Miriam, I think sometimes we don't yet know in the beginning that where will that piece take us. Sometimes it can happen that temporarily we do feel a kind of I don't want to say resentment, but we are not so content with the pieces. But I really like it that you do embrace everything that you create. They can teach us also the pieces that do not turn out to be 100% perfect. They always teach us something. Or maybe if we put them aside, then later, with more knowledge, with a step back, we do find a way to make them work. And then Loretta says, I always try to draw my idea down, either embroidery or weaving. And I am very happy for you, Loretta, that you can draw. My drawing skills are very limited, so that's why I like to take pictures. But indeed, it's a great way to keep an idea journal. And Lita says, I would say don't be afraid to make a mess, but make notes of where you pull things from your stash. And that having an organized stash, especially when we want to play, it matters so much. When my stash was not yet as organized as it is today, it's not perfect, far from perfect, but when it was crammed into a very small space, then I spent lots of time. I lost lots of time when I had the idea of, okay, now I need this or that shade, this or that size. And I spent sometimes minutes trying to find the exact bead or cabochon that I had on my mind. And it not only did I deprive myself of precious beading time, but also I got frustrated. So that's a very important note. And Sarah says, sometimes sleep on it when you can't decide. Indeed, indeed. Take the time that you need. And Linda says, when I designed the peyote bracelet for fall, I looked at nature pictures to figure out which colors I wanted to include. Then I chose a few shades of the colors and put them next to each other. And that's also a wonderful idea, Linda. And looking at photography, looking at art, when we already know that what kind of source of inspiration when we want to embrace is really, really helpful. That's why I also love books full of pictures that help me while creating. And Miriam says, exactly, sometimes the ugly parts show what is not working. And dead ends are just as important on the way to find your direction than a straight line. And Ariana says, I do the photo thing too, even in smaller pieces. When I want to use specific materials in bead weaving and I'm not sure how to connect, I start different approaches parallel without frogging everything. I love your approach, Ariana. So lovely, ladies. Beautiful places around the world. Keep inspiring us. And my lovely friends from the Beadingschool Creative Team, of course, they do feel the same. And today, I would also like to share with you some of the dream destinations on their bead mats and beyond of my lovely colleagues Aniko, Sophie, Veronka, and Susie. And I would like to first tell you about the dream destination that Aniko would like to get inspired by. And when you look at it, can you imagine can you maybe guess what kind of surroundings she would like to have? She would like to explore, what kind of place she would like to explore when only seeing a few pieces behind her. In the meanwhile, Robin says, do you surround yourself with components you might want to use? Absolutely, dear Robin. I have a big shelf where I have my stash organized, but I also have a chair next to me where I keep the components. There is a box on the chair, and I keep there the components that I would like to use and play with during the upcoming time. So Marlo says that she thinks that Aniko would like to explore a forest with all the browns and the greens. That is a very nice thought, I think, Marlo. So Aniko would like to go on an expedition into the Amazon rainforest. And she says, many of you know that I spent a few years living in South Africa and was lucky enough to travel through several countries in sub-Saharan Africa. Some of my most treasured memories are connected to those journeys. Watching wildlife in its natural habitat, feeling surrounded by vast, untamed landscapes, and experiencing the incredible beauty and diversity of nature. That is probably why the Amazon rainforest has always been on my dream travel list. I imagine it would give me a similar feeling of wonder and life-changing adventure. The flora and the fauna are so unique there. Colorful parrots, hummingbirds, exotic butterflies, playful monkeys, and even the mysterious jaguar. I also love the colors of the untamed nature, she says. All those beautiful shades of green, from fresh young leaves to deep forest tones, mixed with warm browns, tree bark, earth, and wood. These are colors that always make me feel calm, grounded, and connected to nature. And she continues, if I were creating jewels inspired by the Amazon, I would choose rich green cabochons, earthy beads, leafy components, and warm metallic accents. So, lovely ladies, who would join Aniko? Who would like to join Aniko while she is exploring the Amazon rainforest on her bead mat? Chantal actually guessed it right. She says, I think Aniko is inspired by a tropical rainforest. So, who would like to join Aniko? Then I have here also Veronka. So, while you are telling me if you would like to explore the rainforest with Aniko, I would also like to invite you to join Veronka. Veronka is chasing the Sicilian sun, and she says, Italy has held a special place in my heart for as long as I can remember. A love I proudly inherited from my mom. It's a passion I'm lucky to share with my husband too. In fact, my obsession with Italy and Sicily goes all the way back to my high school days when it even earned me a funny nickname from my friends. Veronka, we will be very curious to learn about your nickname. And Veronka is dreaming about visiting Sicily, and she would like to embrace the sun, warming up her skin. Her favorite color is actually yellow, so she is diving deep on her bead mat into the imaginary journey to Sicily with yellow and with orange. And she says, every bead in this collection carries a piece of my dream of Sicily, a splash of the Mediterranean warmth, and pure joy. And then we also have here Susie. And Susie would love to travel to Japan. She says, one of the things that fascinates me most is the beauty of the sakura. Every spring, I look forward to watching the cherry trees bloom on our street. To me, they symbolize renewal, hope, and the beauty of fleeting moments. And of course, I simply adore their soft pink blossoms. Pink has always been one of my favorite colors. It's feminine, delicate, and full of grace. She says, when I imagine creating jewelry inspired by Japan, I see elegant floral motifs and gentle romantic details. I picture a beautiful lady dressed in traditional attire, her hairstyle adorned with a richly embellished hair comb or headpiece, paired with dainty earrings that echo the softness of cherry blossoms. Oh, and Sherry says, I'm coming with both of you so far. Corinne says she's going with Susie. But that's not all yet, dear ladies. We also invited Sophie to tell us about her dream destination. Sophie is responsible for taking beautiful pictures for us and for sharing most of the pictures and videos to our Instagram account. Marcelina says, in the meantime, the yellow made me immediately think of the lemons of Italy. And that was what we were talking about with the ladies, lemons and oranges and the sun. Lita wants to travel with Susie, by the way. But let's see where Sophie would like to take you. She says, "Oh, I will not tell you first what she says. Can you guess what is Sophie's dream destination from the three colors included in the collection? Red, blue, and white?" Kata, in the meantime, says, "Not so much for pink, but I love sakura." And Linda says, "Oh, Japan, yes, please. I love their gardens and architecture and bridges. Such beautiful culture." Kata thinks USA. No, not USA. Corinne thinks France. Not France. It is one of those countries that we say that European culture was born, deep roots of European culture all the way back to antiquity, to follow the footsteps of a Greek muse. And Sophie says, "Greece has been one of my absolute dream destinations ever since I first opened an art history book years ago. I still remember reading about the history of the Parthenon, its remarkable sculptures, and the timeless myths. It completely captured my heart long before I ever had the chance to see it in person. Last summer, that dream finally came true. I was lucky enough to visit this incredible country, and I walked away inspired not just by its ancient treasures, but by the warmth of its kind-hearted people." So, if we followed Sophie to Greece, we would learn about the rich tradition, we would explore the art, the architecture, and I'm pretty sure that we would also taste the food, enjoy the sunshine, and also even relax on the beach. And then I have a fifth destination here where I would like to invite you, dear ladies. So, when I was a kid, growing up in Eastern Europe behind the Iron Curtain, I never imagined that one day I could set foot in some of the most incredible countries that I have learned about during our geography classes. One day it changed with a simple question from one of my friends asking, "Shall we go to India?" And without hesitation, I said yes. After about, this is not inspired by India, I'm getting there, but this is not India. After about a year of preparations, the world has started to open up to me, as I have left behind not only the village where I grew up, but also the notion, the deeply engraved belief that I am not capable, I am not deserving, it is not possible because of so many reasons that I heard from people around me who wanted to keep me close, who wanted to keep me safe, and unintentionally also kept me small and scared of the words that I didn't know yet. Finally, when I started to travel and I saw the Taj Mahal and so many other beauties of India, other countries have followed: Sri Lanka, Tanzania, Myanmar, Cambodia, and many more. I was and I feel so grateful and lucky to have been able to travel. I was rushing to see everything, everywhere. I longed to taste all the flavors, from overwhelming sweetness to the fiery burn of the spices. I wanted to feel the wind in my hair, the sun burning my cheeks, my feet getting tired from all the walking, climbing, hiking, swimming. My eyes, my soul were filled with all the experiences and emotions that were coming at a great speed as I was trying to make up for the cage imposed not only by the politics but the belief that I can't. But after that, wanting everything, everywhere at the same time, I arrived at a very different place. After a flight with a 12-seater plane, the smallest I have ever flown with, and after a choppy wild boat ride through the ocean waves, I set foot on La Islita, as Little Corn Island in Nicaragua is affectionately called in Spanish. And for a week, time stopped still. I got back to my beloved diving, but also the hunt for new experiences, the urge to move fast and not to miss out on anything has somewhat disappeared. I stopped wearing shoes. There was no need thanks to the smooth land. I didn't have to search for a taxi or figure out how public transport works because we could cross the island on foot or by bicycle in 20 minutes. And my favorite part of the days was waking up early in the morning and asking around in the local village that which family on that day baked pineapple or coconut bread that I could buy for breakfast. So I am dreaming about returning one day to these beautiful Caribbean islands. I want to sense the tranquility, the ability to slow down and to truly enjoy being in the moment without the rushing. And I want to feel and want to embrace life's so easy to find pleasures that are everywhere around us. I want to embrace the drops of happiness that we can find wherever we travel in the world, as long as we already carry them within and nurture that source in our hearts. So, lovely ladies, there are 5 destinations that we prepared for you with my colleagues: Rainforest Amazon with Aniko, Greece and following the Greek muse with Sophie, Sakura and Japan by Zuzi, Veronka, and the Sicilian sun, lemons and oranges, and the tranquility of a Caribbean island. And we invite you to join us to travel to these beady dream destinations, at least on our bead mats for now. Lovely ladies, for one week only, we have prepared beaded dream destinations for you in the Beading School bead shop. You can find these 5 destinations at beadingschool.com, and you can find as many as nearly 200 different cabochons, beads, components that take you there. And if you use the code DREAM until next week's Coffee Time with Erika, then it will instantly take off 30% discount of everything that is included in these beady dream destinations. So, lovely ladies, I invite you to join us and step out of your comfort zone, embrace the unknown, and to enjoy together with Zuzi, Aniko, Sophie, with Veronka and me these beady destinations. Make sure to use the code DREAM. It will take off 30% of the prices that you see on the screen. Usually, we do not work with discounts at Beading School. We believe in quality, we believe in value. And this is one of the very, very few times, except the Beading School Advent Adventure around Christmas, when you can take advantage of better prices. When you visit one of these categories, then imagine the category that it is a pre-selected bunch of components, just as I pre-selected my components, cabochons and beads when I was creating the Borneo necklace. We did this part of the work for you. So let's imagine that you would like to create a bead woven or embroidered piece inspired by the Caribbean, inspired by the cherry blossoms, inspired by Greece, by Sicily, or by the Amazon, then all you need to do is to visit this category and see what resonates with you. And you can find these dream destinations in the category of the same name. I also posted the link and also put the QR code on the screen. So I will also quickly share my screen with you. So this is how it looks like. Trying to find the best layout. So this is how it looks like. And as you can see, we have even included some of the big cabochons, like the 18mm cushion cut in rose opal. We have here waiting for you princess baguettes, navettes, some of the hand-pressed, hand-painted cabochons. That is a unique opportunity to get them with such a discount. We have here also pearls that come always useful on your beading journey. Some for your most beloved shapes, little ovals, little pears. You can find, for example, the middle vogue fitting Veronga's Sicilian Sun Dream. Even some handmade cabochons when we have some left. What I really like are these butterfly of paradise glass drops, for example, that normally cost nearly 13 euros, but now they can be yours with 13% off. Preciosa fancy baguettes. So it is really worth exploring and seeing what is included. Luxurious chains. Pendants, metal components. You can explore them either all together or you can click on one of the categories and see, for example, this is Aniko's Amazon expedition. I'm really happy to see here the gemstone cabochons in brown and also some of the last packages of the Preciosa Nacre cabochons in pearlescent khaki. Then we have here my Caribbean Dream. Here my favorite pieces are the 18mm cushion cuts in aquamarine shine, the 3mm Preciosa bicons, for example, and I'm also very much in love with the Star Bloom handmade glass cabochon in turquoise. Then we have here also Zuzi's Dream. You can even grab some Miyuki twist beads that we also have included in the current theme. And here are indeed the butterfly of paradise glass drops that are originally nearly for 13 euros. So now it's a very good opportunity to get them for a better price. princess square glass cabochons, and some metal components that you can use to personalize your jewels. Then I have here the footsteps of the Greek muse from Sophie. And here, for example, you can have a 27 millimeter glass cabochon. You can again have some handmade cabochons. The chains are here, and lots of metal components, and even some milky. And then we have the Sicilian sun. This is Veronca's. Everything in yellow, in orange, also a tiny bit of green. One of my favorites is the gemstone, the dyed jasper in orange and green, and also the beautiful 30 times 40 millimeter oval glass cabochon in a sunshine shade. So, Gemma, did you manage to find the category? Loretta says, thank you, Erika and everyone. This was a very enjoyable coffee time. And dear Loretta, thank you. And I'm very grateful that you ladies also enjoy listening to some more personal stories. And I am very grateful for you sharing your best practices, tips, and tricks when it comes to creating your own jewels. I want to remember them all, and this is indeed how we learn from each other. And lovely ladies, later this week, actually already tomorrow, I will have a very precious visitor coming to Amsterdam. And thanks to that, we will have a bit different coffee time with no one has to bead along than usually, because she will join me and we will bead together with all of you here. So on Thursday, I am looking forward to beading with all of you, not only on my own, but also with my beloved colleague, Susie. And I would like to wish her now a safe journey tomorrow. And Susie, I can't wait to have you here for a few days, to make you breakfast, to again drink coffee, and maybe even bead together, probably even bead together. And next week, I'm also looking forward to have you ladies with coffee time with Erika. And Gemma says, I found it, but I thought they were bundles. Not bundles, dear Gemma. You can select everything on your own, what you would like to have. Besides the presence of Susie, I also have another good reason why you should join me on Thursday, so no one has to be alone. But for now, I would like to thank you for your company. Thank you for your creative ideas, and happy beading, dear ladies. See you very soon. Thank you so much for your precious bead orders. Bye bye.